Hello everybody, welcome to another Games Masters chat with me, Sarah, and today I have Sam with me. Yeah, so we're going to just dive in where we have, there's things that Sam wants to talk about, I have things that I'd like to talk about, and of course, all of you guys watching are welcome to throw in some questions into the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. Let's see, and I will save announcements for a little bit later. When we're waiting to get... Oh, I just realized you weren't unmuted. There you go, Sam. Now you can talk.
Oh thanks.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. You're so kind. Thanks.
I'm a benevolent leader.
You said that, I didn't.
Indeed. So we were just talking about... I'm getting ready to change up a game that I had been running for the past 3 years. We were doing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and we finished that this last week. Wow, I feel like that's still like 10 years ago. That's how this year is going. There is no concept of time. But we just wrapped up the main plotline for Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And I'm happy to share my opinions of that campaign, but that's not what this time is for, so...
We can talk some Dragon Heist later. I've got like a game that's running at the moment that has a person who's pulled a character over from an old Dragon Heist game, and she's loving it. Like, she was like, I'm not done playing my character, I want to carry on playing.
Yeah, that's the one thing that, well, I guess we will talk about a bit about it. Dragon Heist is not supposed to be a long game. I used the Alexander remix, which is this guy revamped it essentially, and we were able to grab all the different villains and make it a much bigger thing, which is why it took us forever to finish.
Okay.
But it's not really my campaign. I realized I got fairly bored running it after a certain point. But I'm excited to where the group is now going, because now I will be essentially moving into doing my first homebrew campaign, which I have not done. I've only ran modules and published material.
And then it's difficult with the module as well, because I ran what's it called? Jungle Chult, Tomb of Annihilation. That's it.
Yeah.
I was running a Tomb of Annihilation based game, and you get like however many sessions in, like 20, 30 sessions, and you're just like, I'm sick of like following what they tell me to do. I want to do my own thing. So I basically stole a bunch of like lore and stuff from it, and then I've just gone off some weird tangent now. So that worked out. Kept me interested.
No, it's a different frame of mind to run modules because I have this habit of when I do, I want everything. I don't want to miss anything, and I'm afraid to get something wrong. But when you run your own content, there is nothing. Nothing is wrong. Everything is adapted, or you can run.
It's all about nothing. It's the opposite. Everything is right.
That's right. Yeah, the one thing with Dragon Heist that I didn't really care for was that there is a large gap in terms of the player level ability and the NPCs.
Yeah, so I know what you mean.
Yeah,
lots of big bads.
Yeah, and so balancing things was really difficult as well. And suddenly they have, allies that are 4 times as strong as them. It's like, this is not fun. Like, the players need to feel like they're the ones that are the heroes and strong abilities and all of that. But you can't do that if you've got this NPC running alongside that are far more capable than they are.
Yeah. I mean, you get that whole, like, GM ends up helping people out by role playing their own character / NPC, and then it gets dangerous as well.
Yeah,
and then all.
It's not great.
Go on.
Yeah, no, it's just not fun.
No, yeah, you're right. It's not. Although it's quite a nice campaign, like what you're doing with it, where you take the kind of Dragon Heist bit and people dip their toes into D&D if it's the first time or something, and have some fun, do a cool heist thing, and it's kind of like over. But then if you want to like take it somewhere else afterwards, it's like that little Dragon Heist thing is like their growing experience maybe, and then they're going to go in and like find themselves as a role player later maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. Hey Brad, no, the season I didn't pick a season. It was winter for them, but I used the Alexander remix where essentially you use all of the villains. They ended up. I don't want to go into spoiler territory for people that are playing it, and so I'm happy to talk about this with people outside of being streaming. So if people want to talk to me directly, you can join us on Discord, and the link to our Discord server is on our website, wayfarersleague.com.
Yeah, no, well done. Slid that in there.
Yeah.
Spam.
So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it and the experience that I had running it and all of that. But yeah, so we one of the villains is still, there's some loose ends from the end of running that, and so the players are going after this one particular villain, and it's going to turn into a seafaring adventure, which I've never done as well, but I have a lot of ideas.
Are you planning on doing anything specific for like ship combat stuff? That's just like the war nerd in me.
Yeah, no,
There's some interesting stuff as well, actually, like stuff that's already available.
Yeah, I was told that what was the recent Saltmarsh? There's rules for combat, ship to ship combat. That I'll probably look that up at some point. There's other things that I would like to do. Like I want to develop like a new villain for the group to go against. I want to do some side missions, but Sam and I, so those are watching, Sam and I are just going to be starting up another round of behind the GM screen where we're actually going to write and build up this campaign for my players to experience. And so what I want to do with that, so I want to go into all the player backgrounds and how we can set up side missions and integrate some cool stuff. Like one of the characters has this the background where he has been having visions of major disasters that will cause the death of his loved ones.
Oh.
And so that's sitting there. 2 of the players are warlocks, and so there are patrons that can get involved. One of them's a cleric, so you've got the god of El Mater. That's also some fodder that can be used. And then
there's loads of that immediately sounds like there's loads of scope for like gods of the sea clashing with gods of like the sky and some like weird, like planal thing. Oh yeah, I've got to get ideas.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff. We can go into that later. So if you're watching and you have questions about running games or playing in games, you can drop it into the chat and we'll be happy to answer them. Sam, you there was something very specific that you wanted to talk about.
Oh man. Yeah. So specifically, bad encounters. Like, oh god, there's this one particular pet peeve I have, and like at the moment, like anyone in the chat who wants to give you their opinion on this, like go for it, because I wanna get other people's opinion on this. I hate it as a GM and as a player when people do stuff in combat. So like say like a monster hits you with an ability, you fail your save, you're paralyzed. That's it. Like you're paralyzed for a turn or 2 turns or 3 turns, or you might get a chance to like check it every turn and see if you come out of it. But anything that just takes your player's autonomy away, that kind of like removing your ability to make a decision or removing your go from you. Yeah. So like I don't mind things like say like monsters that have something like swallow, because like when you've been swallowed, you can like do a cool narrative bit where you're in their stomach and you're like stabbing at them, or like you set off a bomb that's going to hurt you as well, but it'll do loads of damage to them, so they'll throw you out and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
there's lots of like risk and reward and stuff you can do as a result of that, but yeah, just specifically stuff that takes away your autonomy or just means that you can't do anything. So like one of the ones that I'm like always on the fence about is like Beholder's anti-magic cone. Because like I've been in a fight as a wizard against a beholder, and man, it could be so not fun. But as a GM, I'm like, this is a really cool, interesting thing that the party've got to work around. So I'm like, just finding that balance. I kind of like breaking my own rules almost.
Yeah, I think with that kind of thing, being a frustrated player, that I feel like I try to combat that as a GM, but it's also not entirely on the GM to make it fun. Because it is about being strategic in those kind of encounters and trying to find a way around the problems that the GM is offering, putting in front of you. So I think the anti-magic cone is frustrating, but that's part of it, that is finding a way around it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like that one, it is avoidable because if you spread out, then you're suddenly going to go in one direction. You have to kind of think around it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But So specifically, my problem is just things that take away your autonomy, make you lose your go. Basically, I just don't like that stuff because I feel like there's so many more interesting story-driven things you could do instead.
Yeah.
So like you could say like this thing that paralyzes you, it doesn't paralyze you. It just like freezes your legs to stone. So now you're stuck in place, but you can still do stuff, or something like that. That's like a really simple example, but you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. It's kind of like having characters get banished. Like that lasts for a whole minute. That takes them out of 10 rounds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like being stunned and things.
I've seen people do interesting stuff for banished as well. Like, I mean, like I don't like quoting Critical Role because like everyone quotes Critical Role, but you know what I mean. But there's that one time that Grog gets banished and goes to like this far off kind of like maze thing, and he has like he's not in the fight, but he's actually doing stuff on his turn. He's trying to like find his way out and that kind of stuff. Like it's just much more interesting than just that's I'm done. I'm just gonna wait here and do nothing. Thanks.
Yeah. So Brad says, well, there are spells players can use that do that. Can use to do that to the DM as well. Yes, so that's the thing. Like with D&D, the things that are available to players are also to the GM, but also vice versa more often than not.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't mind having that done to me as a GM because my job, well, as far as I'm concerned, my job is I'm the one. I'm the storyteller. I'm having fun by running it and doing it and interacting with people and coming up with this cool story and like laying it out and like having that kind of those cool moments when people go, oh that's awesome, and they see the reveal kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't mind getting like if my dudes get paralyzed or smashed or banished, like I'm totally okay with that. Yeah. But as a player, like when you've got like this is your one kind. I mean, like you can obviously make more out of it. Like everyone's able to, like make their own fun out of a situation. But I don't know. For me, like as a player, it's horrible to. Well, it's just annoying or boring just to sit there and do nothing, basically.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I think it's frustrating as a GM seeing that because then, like, seeing people just give up. Not that I don't think I've run into that when I've run things. It's more of like putting up a situation that they can work around but then everyone's having trouble trying to work around it, and that's usually when I have NPCs also try to help give hints and things. And but so I think so. Fee, hi Fee. I think it helps if you can do something else while incapacitated, like play a familiar or an NPC or something like that. That's nice to do, but that's if you have that available to your players, which isn't always the case.
Although, like I say, I've done one thing I've done that's interesting, which is kind of in the same thing about what Fee is talking about. Is like I had a bad guy with an ability. It's like an astral plane ability where he like teleports the person to the astral plane. So instead of like just having them teleported to the astral plane, I had them teleported there. But while they were there, they could see everything that was going on, and like they could see some secret stuff that was going on behind the scenes and stuff. So then when they came back, it was like, oh, quick! I saw all this stuff. We got to do this, or or if they had like I don't know, some kind of telepathy spell or some way of communicating across planes, they could come up with an interesting idea to like feed intel from the other place, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
it's just so there's something else they can do. Yeah,
it's things that you can give to your player. Like, so actually along those lines, if the player that ends up being incapacitated in some fashion, you could have, if they're a warlock or cleric, like we were talking about before, a paladin, their god or patron can talk to them as well, that kind of stuff. The hypnotic patterns.
Ecuador, you're right about it does add another layer of like, what's the word? Yeah, like tactics, I suppose, or strategy. Because you got to get what you'd hope. It doesn't always happen. People sometimes you just get a group of players where they're all just for themselves. And they're like smash, bang, bang, but don't want to. I don't know, like do the whole for the team thing. So. Like if you've got a situation where it is someone's restrained, then someone can come over and help them. Great, but like it's difficult with some things as well, especially something like paralysis. Because I mean, maybe I don't know. I assume dispel magic would work on some paralyses and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Lesser restoration, I think, does that.
Yeah,
cures that, but not everybody has that available to them. So that's really a moment of being a GM that knows their players and creating encounters that work with their abilities rather than against them.
Yes.
Because for my part, I want my players to feel capable and have fun in the encounters, because there's been times that I've played in various games, various encounters, that I just am not effective, and it sucks.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Like spending an entire encounter running away is not fun.
Or like oh god, I remember. Do you remember when in the villains game, right at the beginning of the villains game, when I was still playing in it?
Yeah.
And we had that fight against. What did we fight?
There's a lot of goblins in the beginning.
It might have been. I think it was the fight against the not ankegs. What are they? Underground buggy things.
Oh, the bullets?
No, not the bullets. No.
Big roly-poly things.
They're like big ants.
Yeah.
Like big giant Umber Hulks. That was it. Umber.
Yeah.
So we're fighting the Umber Hulks, and because there was like a group of 7 of us, like this is an example of why it was that way. But like there was 2 Umber Hulks, and there was a group of 7 of us. So theoretically, it balanced out. But I remember that gaze being an absolute like hating it.
Yeah.
But what you reminded me of was I remember Katie's character, like. Mm-hmm. She just couldn't hit anything. Like the AC was through the roof. And I remember every single turn she tried to hit something, and every single turn she rolled like just bad. And she was just like, "Yeah, that's another turn done."
Yeah, I think she also ended up confused in a few encounters in a row.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just super bad for her.
Like two encounters, I don't think she was able to do anything. One of them might have been my fault too, because of a wild magic surge. Can't remember.
Yeah, that's usually your fault.
Yeah, my fault. That wasn't Hoxie. That was before. Yeah. That was before Katie changed. Hoxie. Yeah, she changed. She was a changeling in the very beginning of the game, but she changed characters because she wasn't enjoying playing that character. Hoxie's a lot more fun. Yeah, poor Katie.
She does get the short end of the stick, bless her.
And Katie's enjoying Hoxie a lot more than I think she enjoyed her changeling character.
Yeah, I was only in like 2 2 sessions I played in, I think, before I had to jump out. And I've already like she was loving it.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, Hoxie's funny. Hoxie's a good character. They've changed a bit. No, kind of. The world around Hoxie has changed. Yeah, I think that's with the idea of taking away player agency with your encounters. I think that's a mentality of the GM as well, because if you're going into an encounter as the one that's created it, or the one that's setting it up for the players, it's good to have an understanding that as a GM, you aren't playing against your players, but with them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't say it's like a trait of a bad GM, but like a thing I notice like a lot of GMs do, and this makes me sound like a big-headed asshole. So this isn't what I'm trying to get across, but like that when you approach building an encounter or building a scene or whatever, and it's like, are you building it to challenge them and push them and make the story more interesting, and does it have like an aspect that leads to the story and makes it more fun, or sorry, once or like are you just building it to be antagonistic, or to is it there just for the combat sake? Exactly, build to kill. It's just I think it's I really see my job as a GM, and the bit that I enjoy the most is the taking the people on a journey. Or was that amazing meme that someone linked where it's like some GMs be like, I'm going to take you on a magical journey, and the other GMs are like, I will destroy you.
Yeah.
I gotta find it. It's amazing, that meme. But it's just it's that kind of, I don't know, like I'm not going to say it's wrong. I think
it's one of those things that you need to know as a player what you're getting into.
Exactly. You have to be like totally upfront and be like, I'm going to spend this entire campaign trying to murder all of you, and then if they're like, yeah, okay, cool, that's fine, I'm in, then that's fine. But I don't know many GMs who are like, reverse murder hobo, but just are super upfront about it,
Yeah, I think it's a bit, it's the power play. I don't know, I just can't get behind it. It's not my flavor. I like creating stories. I have actually also nerfed my big bads occasionally just so the player can have a moment where they are successful. Like I've purposely not used shield or counterspell just so that they can have that moment as a player and as a character to be a hero, to build up those moments for them to talk about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So what was you saying?
Or even opposites, like give them a bit more HP so that the bad guy lasts a little bit longer.
No, that is the thing I do all the time, is give like important bosses or elite fights a bit more HP just so it goes on a bit longer.
Yeah.
And not because, I'm trying to drag it out, but like, I don't know, my team, the people I'm GM for on a Wednesday are pretty powerful now.
Yeah.
They're pretty, the normal CR system does not work. I have to double XP to even get the fight, like, at least somewhat challenging.
More than just 2-3 rounds.
Yeah. And I tend to add in like a bunch of like just weird mechanics that don't normally exist, but kind of like fit a little bit, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to work out okay. Let's go through the chat.
Yeah, so they've the DM that gives the enemies the vorpal swords. I haven't built out many of my bad guys with powerful magic items. Some of them, I mean that's part of when I've run mostly homebrew stuff, unless I've built it. My one shots, I've written lots of one shots, but
the only time I ever tend to give my big bads, like, or say, I don't know, like any bad guys, like interesting like items, is so that the players can then pick them up off them when it's done, or because the item has some kind of narrative purpose, like it's the item they're trying to find, or it's the key to the thing that they're going to have to go and get, or something like that,
Yeah, but it actually reminded me, I have built magic items specifically because narratively my villains needed it.
Exactly. Yeah, when it makes sense story-wise, because it's like, it's not if you've got a stat block of an enemy and then you're just giving them a weapon, all you're doing really is giving them more stats or more rules, and that's not interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think it's interesting, but what I tend to do is like get a base enemy and then say, okay, this is the ballpark of what I want it to do and how I want it to be, but like what else can I do to like make it interesting and have a cool narrative ability. So like they fought people in my game fought what they called an Earth Djinn.
Yeah.
A Dow, that's it. Yes, they fought a Dow, and it was normal Dow stats and stuff. I pumped it up a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. But he had like when I first met him, he was like in human form, and they didn't realize he was a Dow. It was all an illusion and stuff.
Yeah.
And when he revealed what he was kind of like a seer, and he was like predicting that they didn't know, but he was like trying to get in with them and become friendly with them because he foresaw his death and he knew that they were involved in it somehow. So he was like, okay, well, if maybe I could figure out how I die, kind of thing, And so like to play on that, I gave him like a kind of a reverse time ability. So that was good fun. So it's just like a little bit more interesting and a little bit of kind of a get out of jail free card. So they like the first time they thought they killed him, they were like, oh yes, yeah, we did it, and it was like, whoa, what you rob? And then no, it was like you didn't kill him. That was my reverse time sound effect. Sorry.
That was good. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Carrying around a petrified dwarf cleric in a bag of holding. That's great. Yeah, that's fun little story elements like that. But I think that's less. That's treated similar to like a character death. Eventually, you can bring them back if you get access to resurrection magic.
The difficulty with that, though, I think, is like I like having an end to things. I know Rob is in this ballpark as well. Rob would 100% agree with me on this. The whole like you have the story and then it's over, and like that's it. Or like you have like your character arc and then that's it. It's over and done. You can move on to something new.
Yeah.
So it's like if you like have the cleric and then that person plays a different character temporarily until you get that magic and then they resurrect the cleric, then it's like, well, what do you do? Like, do you jump back in and play your old character, or do they become an NPC? Or like, I like that kind of like the guillotine comes down, bam, end of
Yeah, I think it depends on the character and the person. Some people like really love that one character and they would like to play them forever. But I do like the satisfaction of like a neat ending. And the end of the character story, it's quite nice.
I like having
It's a bit of both.
Well, the reason I like playing campaigns is because I like having this is my character's start point, and this is the journey that I've been on. This is how I've grown as a character. This is my arc. But at the end of that arc is just an arc. It doesn't become a full circle. It doesn't just keep going. It ends, and it's like, cool. That was it. That was my contained story, and I'm super happy with it. Like,
yeah,
that's just for me. But like the journey's obviously the most important bit. But you can't have a journey if there's no end. Kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Kind of what I was hoping for the Waterdeep guys, but this will be good. This will be good.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of scope for an interesting campaign. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of fodder.
Read this.
You mentioned giving more HP to keep a fight going a bit longer for narrative. Do you all prefer to keep your rolls secret so you can maybe adjust damage that would outright kill a character, or roll for everyone to see and let the chips fall where they may? Both. A lot of when I'm playing in person, my rolls are private. When I'm generally because I like rolling real dice, and I usually have a screen or something when I'm running in person. And so, if damage outright kills a character, I can't help that. I won't fudge that. Because then when you have probably the more dramatic and intense story moments are when that happens. Because for instance, when I was running out of the abyss, early in the game, one of the characters died during a fight with a ghoul. I wasn't expecting it to happen. Again, it was a pre-published material. It was early in my experience of running games. And so I hadn't really looked at the balance. I mean, it was a large group as well, which is difficult to balance against like one enemy. Anyway, the dwarf died. they had a Scroll of Resurrection that was which was a higher level spell for them to be able to cast. They had to do several rolls before they were even able to cast it. And that was a very, very intense game. They ended up succeeding. The character ended up with a bit of madness because of where he was resurrected and all of that. But everyone remembers that session. Everybody was like, that was amazing. It was a really interesting part of that character's story arc, as well as the group. And so I wouldn't necessarily shy away from killing a character or getting close to it or anything like that, because those are the moments that really make a game.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think like just avoiding or being scared of doing stuff like that, and just don't be like, just do it. Like, I mean, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, and then you learn from the experience. It doesn't matter. Just go for it. You know.
Yeah.
Like, just like some of the best, or most amazing moments like I've had with like players is killing them. So it's,
yeah.
In an interesting narrative way, you know, like there is a narrative behind it. There's a cool thing, and like, but just it's just I thought that is leading on from what I was saying about interesting encounters, and like, you know, not just making it bash 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 smash smash. You know, I'm going to kill the enemy team. It's if you have an interesting encounter and then something crazy like happens like that, like, oh my god, the person died. It like that just makes the narrative go crazy. Like, it makes it like really interesting and dramatic, and you know.
Because then, like, the other players, their other characters go like, oh my god, and then they have a revenge thing, or there's a very emotional moment of afterwards, like, realizing what has happened. There's a lot of story that can happen within those kind of moments. And with making encounters interesting for those times, it's like one of the things I've... it seems dumb to learn this at this point, but still it's reminded that having those RP moments within combat, like having your bad guy say things to the other players and allowing the players to speak as well, and so allowing RP to happen during combat makes it a lot more interesting, as well as playing with the environment itself. So it's not just hit, it's I'm gonna use the environment, like grab this chair and chuck it at them, or, you know, doing grappling and making fights a bit more interesting. The encounter is much more dynamic and fun.
Also on the other side there, Alcador, I do fudge rolls occasionally, but only when there's something interesting.
Yeah.
And never to like avoid some kind of terrible thing. And even then, it's not so much fudging, because like when I prep games, the way you're meant to do D&D is you're meant to prep it and go, okay, this situation comes up. This is going to be the DC for their check, and that's it, you know. And then like if they meet it, they meet it. If they don't meet it, they don't meet it. But when I prep, I don't plot in those DCs. I just have an idea in my head of about how hard it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then based on what's currently happening, I'm like, oh, they're in the ballpark. They're kind of okay. I think that's acceptable that they've passed that. Or like, oh no, that's a terrible fail or something. You know, like I kind of like just work it out on the fly, because I'm not great with like exact numbers. I'm much more like, I'm one of those GMs that likes to kind of feel it out a bit, you know.
I like exact numbers, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So it's not so much fudging. It's just the numbers aren't there in the first place to fudge, you know. So.
Yeah, I think I mostly fudge when characters are about level 1 or level 2, because I don't want to kill them outright because they're brand new.
Yeah, that's fair as well. Like also
players,
as well.
Like you spend so much time building your characters, and you're just getting to know them, and like because it takes a few sessions even to get to know your character.
Yeah.
So
there's also nothing worse than like, I'm brand new to D&D. Oh, I'm so excited to. Oh fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like that's just so the worst.
Yeah.
Like you don't even understand the narrative. You're not part of it yet. You know, that's just terrible. So stuff like that has to be avoided. But I mean, that's just common sense, I suppose. Well, you'd hope that it's common sense. Not with everyone.
No. Yeah. Brad asks if you stop tracking HP of enemies and just choose a nice time to have the final strike occur.
I have done that. I don't think there's any like, so I kind of do that, but not really. So what I mean by that is like I give enemies a bit more HP, and so make the fight a bit more interesting and last a bit longer. So there's some opportunity to do some cool role playing or some cool like tactics, move around, like, you know, get your flanks in, all that kind of stuff. But if there's a cool moment coming up, and like, you know, the fighter who's not like dramatically intertwined with this enemy is going next, but the person after them is like the mage who is dramatically entwined with this enemy, are like, I don't think there's any problem in like, what? Don't tell them this, but there's nothing wrong with just saying, okay, the fight, you did awesome damage. He's on his last legs, and then it's like, now it's your turn, mage. There you go. Oh, there you go. Do your death blow. Cool. There you go. And it's like it's just that payoff kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I only do it when there's some kind of narrative advantage to it. Like when it makes it more dramatic, when it makes it more interesting. If it doesn't, then there's literally no point.
Yeah, I track HP, but sometimes when it gets to the end and it goes over, I will wait to kill the bad guy till it's a more interesting part.
Yeah.
Like when I was running the final boss fight in Waterdeep the other week, I purposely had the NPCs, the support NPCs, not get involved with the very end of the fight. Because I didn't want them to have the final blow.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so then when players, like, they start missing or they just waiting for that moment when one of the players could actually get that satisfying last hit.
Yeah, you need that kind of, like, we worked hard for this and we got the payoff rather than we worked really hard for it and then, the NPC got it. Great.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid it as much as possible.
It's like Friends. You do not steal Ross's thunder.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you like it when players do something unexpected, like a half-orc barbarian that tackles a Medusa and tries to go all Game of Thrones on her? I love the unexpected. I love creativity from players.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you got like, I love players that think outside the box and like, use the environment in interesting ways or tie stuff into have you ever met Emma? You must know Emma.
Oh yeah, no, Emma and I have an ongoing joke that in every single game we play, we end up doing PvP.
Oh yeah, of course you know Emma. She's in the villains game as well. Yeah,
well, she's not anymore,
but
yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah, but she's like in my top 2 people that I've GM'd for of all time. Like, she's just wonderful. Like, she doesn't care what happens to her character.
Yeah.
She doesn't care, like, if they die or if they lose a limb or anything. She's just like, no, this is my character's story and I'm sticking to it and that's it. And I'm like, oh god. She's literally just like, she knows the rules, but she's like, screw the rules, I want my story. It's just wonderful. So she's like, every single turn she takes, she's like, so can I do this, or can I like pick up this chair and do this with it, or can I like can I like use this wall and then like knock this balcony out so it lands on the dude, or like she's so good.
Yeah, the first game I played with her, with them, we were just so petty towards each other, and it's one of my top like RP sessions in my mind. It was so much fun playing this character I've never played before, who is just a snobby noble sort of wizard against their I don't remember a bard. Ripley was playing a bard. Yeah, we were so petty towards each other. It was great.
Although on the other side of that, I would say it can go too far the other way. So, like, I don't know, like I have had players be creative, but they're like you say, they might be like an orc barbarian, and then they say, we're in the middle of a fight, and like they're raging at the time, and they're like, can I pick flowers and then like contemplate why fighting's wrong, and I'm like, yeah, great, like it's just
is this the time?
yeah. It's like, maybe do that when you've got some downtime later and you're contemplating your existence, not when you're raging in the middle of combat. But it's just, I suppose it's creativity is great, but creativity isn't just being random and zany. Like, in fact, this is the problem I do have with players as well. Is like this whole like I want to be zany thing, and it's like I don't think that's personally. I don't think that's what I would consider being creative. I think that's just kind of like, I can't think of anything, therefore I'm going to do something that is associated with a gimmick my character has. And, it's if you're enjoying it, playing it, I'm not going to poo-poo that. Like, I would never, ever say a player can't do whatever they want to enjoy themselves. But, I don't know, do something creative, do something interesting, do something outside the box, as long as there's some kind of context.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. How do you handle rules lawyers that show up at the table versus someone like this player that sounds like they were very much rule of cool?
Rules lawyers.
I think I've written about rules. I've written about rules lawyers before, and I feel like it has gotten a really bad rap But I think the thing is being the right kind of rules lawyer versus the wrong kind.
Yeah. I've been on the receiving end and the giving end of the rules lawyers thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, when we did that battle royale, I mean, I was in like full rules lawyer mode.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like literally any advantage we can get, this is combat. But yeah, it's I don't know, like, how do I normally deal with rules lawyers? I don't often have them,
Yeah.
but what I tend to do is, which is I think is when people talk about like terrible things that players can do, or like there's videos on YouTube, worst 5 GMs ever, or like clickbait, blah blah, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you got like horrible traits like that, I feel like that every single time the best way to address it is to speak to the person and say, what you're doing is not fun and it's ruining it for everyone. So like usually the best way the way I tend to draw with the rules lawyers is like, yeah, technically you're correct, but that's not fun, so I don't think that's appropriate. And just really like straight with them about it, and it tends to work.
Yeah, I think at my table is generally if someone questions the rules or brings something up, I was like, okay, we'll look it up really quick. And if we can't find it quickly, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This is how I'm going to rule it right now, and we'll look it up afterwards. That's generally how I deal with all of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely classic good advice for that situation. It's like don't break the flow of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if it takes more than like a minute or two to look it up, then I just move on.
Also, Brad, if you get super lucky, you'll have a rules lawyer you on something that you know is incorrect because you're better at the rules than them. Oh, that is sweet justice, mate.
Yeah, I've been in a game where there was someone who was very rules lawyery, very combative towards the GM during the games, and I'm not nice to people when they start to do that. Because ultimately, the GM is in charge of the table and how the flow of the game goes. And if there's someone's at the table, and you find yourself arguing with the GM, you need to check yourself, because look around the table. Nobody has fun when you're arguing about the rules.
Yeah.
You want to argue about the rules? Go play a board game.
Yeah. I think it's important to make the distinction between challenging and arguing as well. Like you should not be scared to challenge the GM on things. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, but if you then made a cogent point and you've explained it properly, and the GM's gone, no, I disagree because of this, or I know I want to do it this way, then it's fine. That's it. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to play in the game. Like it's not a big deal. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like this. That's it. You should leave. You should throw your toys out the pram and leave.
No, be adults. Talk to each other.
Yeah, adults. Adulting is not like, if people say adulting is hard. Adulting is not hard. Just talk to people. Just communicate. All right, what other? We've got more questions.
It's just.
I'm enjoying this. This is really good.
Oh, good. Don't be worried about having a rules lawyer in your game fee. If you don't know the rules very well, then they're actually really helpful to have, because you can use them to check in with.
They do all the work for you. It's really good.
I am kind of the designated rules lawyer in at least one of my games. They'll check in, but I mean, I don't know everything, so we always it's always looking up stuff as well. So Google is a very helpful rules lawyer.
What can be really good as well is if you know you're not that hot on the rules and they really, really are hot on the rules.
Yeah.
It's actually probably a good idea to separately outside the game talk to them and say, oh, like, I'm not super hot on the rules, so I might ask you if you know what the rule is occasionally. You're okay with that? And just say to them, like, I don't want you to like butt in and like stop the story and stuff, but like, do you mind if I rely on you? Because like, and then they'll be like, oh yes, so I'm brimming with pride. Thank you for yes, I'll do that for you. Yeah, and there you go.
Yeah, I think the golden rule still stands, Brad. The rule is whatever the DM says the rule is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been many times where the players will ask if they could do something, and I'll say, I'll allow it. Because it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Early in Waterdeep, he wasn't even at the game at the time. One of the players was strong enough and like ended up taking a door off its hinges because it was practically falling off anyway, and then ended up using it as a shield for like several more sessions.
Yes, door shield. One thing I've always wanted to do, and I've never done in a campaign, and I've never found a GM that would ever like let me do it, because granted, I know it's stupid, but I just can't help but ask every time, is I want to have a character that dual wield shields. Like they're just like, but they use shields like boxing gloves, you know, kind of like just like shield bashing every motherfucker in the room, you know, that kind of thing.
I would totally allow that. You take the tavern brawler feat.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah, go Tavern Brawler and go like
Mm-hmm.
what are they called? Not monk. But they're like
Oh, the
they have like the
pugilist?
emperor. That's it, the pugilist. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Tavern Brawler.
Yeah, I'd allow it, Sam.
Oh, all right. Right. There you go. You're gonna write a game for me. Great, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
And that comes. Do you know where that comes from? You ever heard of a web cartoon called Unforgotten Realms?
No.
It was like when I was like a kid. It must have been like it came out on like Newgrounds, if you know what
Oh yeah,
Newgrounds is.
I know
Like the old
Newgrounds.
Flash cartoons and
Yeah.
stuff like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, oh, it's just absolutely magical. It's just a story about this guy who's a complete loser and plays D&D on his own. Like, not sorry. I should get the proviso. If you play D&D on your own, that does not mean you're a loser. I'm just saying that the character was in this particular thing. Just rewind.
What's it called?
So
What's it called?
I don't want to offend people. But like
Sam gets angry emails from half the internet.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, internet. Please don't hate me.
What's it called?
Unforgotten Realms. And his mate has nothing to do that day, so he's like in the basement with him, and he's like, "Do you want to play D&D?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And it's basically the story of it follows them in and out of character, but mainly in character, about how this guy just completely derails his friend's D&D game, but in the like the funniest possible ways. It's wonderful, and it's from, I think I was like maybe 15 or 16 when I first. Like, this is like early 2000s. This is a long, long time ago. It's great.
Nice.
But yeah, if you ever look it up, Lemon Grenade. I'm not going to tell you what that is. You can just look it up and then find out by watching it.
Lemon grenade.
Yeah. It's horrible when you actually see what it is, but it is wonderful. It's really, really good.
Noted. Okay. Yeah, I've forgotten where. Writing things down to remember later. I just looked up on Webtoons to see if Forgotten Realms was on it for just in case, and it is not.
It's on YouTube. It's on the UpTubs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Literally just Google Unforgotten Realms, comes up straight away.
Okay. I like to say the dual shield fighting character.
Yeah. But sorry, that's the random tangent I want about Unforgotten Realms. That's the reason of the dual wield shields, because in the thing when they're making his character, he's like, "What character do you want to be?" And he's like, "I'm gonna be a lumberjack." And it's like, lumberjack's not a class. And it's like, yes, it is. It says here in the book, and he's literally just written lumberjack in market in the book. And then and he's like, "Okay, well, what weapon are you gonna use?" And he's like, "I'm gonna dual wield shields." And then the guy just gives up, scream. So yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm done now. I'm telling my story.
Okay. Yeah, and if you like playing like the silly, wacky things, play Goblin Quest. You can play 5 goblins, or a family of goblins. You do one at a time, and you just make everything up. So you can.
I played a goblin game. When was it? A while back. You know Andy, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Andy ran a game that was in. What's it called? I'm trying to remember. There's all these different systems I've played, but yeah, it was a goblin game like that, and it was very, very, very good. It's like this game where you don't have statistics; you have dice for stats. So the higher your stat is, you like have a larger dice, so you have a higher roll potential based on what your stats are.
Oh wait, I've seen that before. Recently, and I don't remember what it was in relation to. Where did you get it? Because I might write it for my kids. I just bought it online, PDF on what's his name? I always forget his name. Grant Howitt. He's got. You can buy it from his website, or it's probably on DM's. No. RPG Drive-Thru? No, something like that. DM Drive-Thru?
Is it DM's Guild?
DM's Guild is probably. It might be on there. I don't know. I don't think it would. I don't know. Anyway, you just search for Goblin Quest. No, there's another one. There's something Drive-Thru.
RPG Drive-Thru.
Yeah, something like that.
I think they're all like part of the same person owns them now. Yeah. I remember they had like I read this and I was like, really? But they apparently you can only sell on like one of the 3 platforms. You can't sell on all of them, which is really weird.
Oh.
It's a random internet tidbit.
Yeah, I guess DM's Guild also takes a huge chunk out of what you try to sell in it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's why we don't want to list. We'll just list everything on our website.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually would like a actual physical copy of Goblin's Quest at some point. The book is great. But I don't. The one thing that I do have a problem with the book is how it's laid out. Because there's a lot of flipping through, and it has Goblin Quest suggestions, but they're peppered throughout the book rather than in one chapter.
Oh, okay.
Which bothers my brain.
They're expecting you to do the kind of like I learn by reading thing where you go through and, but yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. That's maybe that's something we should talk about actually. Is like how you like when you start a new game and with a new system, how do you absorb it? Because I find it so difficult to absorb a new system.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, the ones I've read Fate. I started reading this new one, but I haven't absorbed anything because I haven't spent too much time reading the book. Because that one's about the characters. The whole idea is about regaining memories, and I find the idea fascinating. Most of the games that the systems I've learned from people while playing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Goblin Quest, I read the book, and then I play tested it a few times before I realized exactly how to play it, because it's also not written spectacularly. I mean, it's probably the funniest book, like, setting book I've ever read. I was laughing out loud while reading it. And so the setup of the world is great. The general setup for the game itself, but the game mechanic, how to roll, is not as clear as it could have been. And because I think part of it says, like, if you get 7 and up, then something special happens, or like, which made me assume that you add up all the dice that you roll. But if you add up all the dice that you roll, there's less of a chance for your goblin to die. And part of the fun of Goblin Quest is having high mortality.
Yeah, it's like you're a goblin, you're expendable, aren't you?
Yeah, and so part of the fun is your goblin dying, because then you get to go to your next one and do more silly things. But if you're adding in your roll dice, because when you use one of your abilities, you get to add an extra die to your pool. And so if you're rolling 2 or 3 dice, it's easy to get over 7. So
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
so we
takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, we kind of took that out, and then any face value that is shown is treated as its own individual roll. So you can succeed really, really well and have like a critical success while also dying, which made it much more fun.
Yeah, that's it. You want to succeed while exploding in a rain of green bits. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. That's my only critique of that one, really. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the learning a new system, it kind of boils down first to like how to create your character, and kind of branches off of that.
Yeah, I agree. What I tend to do is like I get a new book, read the basic rules, read character creation, and then don't touch the rest of the book at all. I put it down, and then I go and spend like a week watching YouTube tutorials and like YouTube real actual plays, and then learn it that way, and then come back and read through the whole book, but like go through bit by bit and go, okay, that's the bit I saw in this video that reinforces that, blah blah. So then I've got that kind of, even though I'm not actually doing, it kind of helps me because I learn by doing. So like by watching that people do it, I'm almost like parroting it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's definitely easier. I'll go and play examples of people playing it if I just want to learn. If I'm going to be playing it, then I just get advice from the person running the game, and then I work from there, and then I ask my questions directly.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm learning Exalted because we're playing that with one of my long-running groups, and I'm still just like, how's the magic work in this? Like I sent them like, I need to know how magic works because my character's supposed to know how this stuff works, and this is not. I'm so confused.
Exalted is like, it's basically if someone said, I need a roleplay game that lets me do things that they do in anime, and then you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's like full on.
We're playing Mortals at the moment, and we're going to be exalting during the game to kind of help us all learn. I'm still feeling confused by it, but that's okay. I'm a little bit more excited because now I have things that I can read that my character should be able to do. So then I can actually, because I'm playing a doctor essentially, and she's a bit OCD about things. And
is it the standard Exalted setting or is it a different setting?
I think it's the standard one because it's from my understanding, it's like there's different lands, and so we're doing it in the land of wood and trees and.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
Where the trees are like impossibly large, and we're trying to bring things up from the wilds, and we're a airship pirates essentially.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Like the map for Exalted is really interesting with the whole like it's like convergence of all these elemental planes, and then like you've got like normal stuff in the middle, but then as you go further west, east, or north, or whatever, you get more of that particular element.
Yeah, and so we're in the woodsy part. Trying to figure out how to play because it's a new edition as well because it was kickstarted this last year I think, and so of course Sam, or the friend Sam, she's a huge fan of Exalted, and so she's of course backed it and has all this stuff, and so we're all learning together. I'll probably buy the copy of the book once it's available, which I don't think it is yet. And I missed the chance to help back it. Let's see.
Any more questions?
The only benefit you may gain from listing on DM's Guild would be the number of people that could potentially see your product, but business choices. This is about D&D. Yeah, for sure. I think I need a Katie Sarah How to Play Goblin Quest episode. Speaking of, that is one show that we were actually talking about eventually doing one a series where we will play other systems to show people how to play them, and also to play them ourselves and to show people how it's done.
Have you got any systems in mind?
Oh, they're all the systems, Sam. All the systems. It really is whatever we know how to play at the moment. So we'll probably do Goblin Quest just because it's fun and silly.
There's some really interesting systems out there actually as well. Anyway, sorry, I'm just gonna.
That's okay.
Can't get into that. We'll be all day.
Yeah, we'll talk more about other systems and that. Hiya, that's another Sam, isn't it?
What's up, Chav?
If you need anyone to help, just let me know. Yeah, we'll probably need some more players when we do that. We also need, a time machine and extra days of the week. But we'll sort it out. We have come, I believe, we're just about up to the end of our hour. If there's any last minute questions, let us know, and we can answer them, and I can go into some of... Is there any last minute thoughts before I start rattling off a bunch of announcements and things?
Or you could make the first announcement, which is the new viewer tax. Sorry to tell you this, Chav, I know because you just walked into this, you don't know about it, but the new viewer tax is you have to give us a really interesting question. Otherwise, we're going to have to ban you, unfortunately. So.
Rough times. Whew. A few things, yes, that we have. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's the subscriber goal, and we are 11 away from doing a one-shot live, which I'm planning on making one to make sure that Flourish is in that one shot. I'm hoping that maybe I can rope in a few other people. Pop, soda, or Coke? Who? What? Brad.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, Chav. Sorry, mate. Obviously, you're kind of a big deal.
Soda is the obvious answer, Brad. I will not accept any other ones.
Coke. What are you talking about?
Well, Coke is wonderful, but I think that's a question of, what do you call soda in general? Like, fizzy drink, a carbonated drink. Is it pop, soda, or Coke?
Well, I don't know. Soda's the American term, isn't it? Well,
no. The West Coast, South area, that's all, they do pop for some reason.
Oh, pop sounds so 70s.
Yeah. Fizzy juice.
For me, I remember when I was at school, I used to go to the corner shop and we used to get this stuff called Panda Pop that came in this tiny little, smaller than your hand size bottles with a little panda on the front. They were horrible.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, they were really rank. They were just flavorings with water in them.
Yeah, depending on where you live, it's a pop, a soda, or a Coke. Coke is a specific kind of soda. Soda pop is the full name that nobody says. And you're welcome to say pop, but... Yeah.
I don't know if I can get on board with this fizzy drink elitism.
Yeah. It's okay. It's funny how, depending on where you are in the States, people get very passionate about things. In the South, we call it by the name of the product. Yeah.
Oh, God, Iron Brew. God, no.
I've never had Iron Brew. I've heard lots of things about it. I said I would try it because apparently it tastes like... Oh, what did they say?
It tastes like you're eating. It tastes like you're eating copper coins.
Oh, that sounds weird. That sounds similar to like Red Bull.
Actually, that's an odd comparison, but it is that kind of same flavor profile.
Yeah.
It's like there's a taste, but then there's a kind of an aftertaste, and yeah.
Like Monster. Monster has that kind of where it's like melted Skittles with this penny taste afterwards. Yeah, I lived on Red Bull in college, so because I hated coffee. I say lived on it. I had it whenever I needed to do an all-nighter. I just got Red Bulls.
Red Bull, yuck. Monster, yuck. Literally everything I don't like, yuck.
You don't need to send me Iron Brew. I'm sure I could probably find some if I actually went down to the store with an idea of getting it, but I never think about it. It's probably around.
You have to get legit Iron Brew if you get it there. You can't like get the cheap home brand stuff. You have to get the proper stuff.
Okay, noted. I will make an effort. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll make an effort. It's a big commitment, Sarah.
Don't worry about me. Okay, that sounds good, Fee. So, with a few announcements, what do we have going on? We've got our picnic and party this next Saturday on the 28th, so you can RSVP on our website to let us know if you're coming. We're actually getting together in person for a picnic. Yay! In Hyde Park on Saturday during the day. Bring your own picnic, and I will have a big sign so you know where we are. We will announce through email probably to those people that RSVP'd about where we are. And then in the evening we have a night of drinks and games, and there will probably be karaoke at some point, whether you can just watch me and Filet sing.
Wait, you said there's karaoke?
There's going to be karaoke.
I didn't know about this. That's amazing.
Yes.
Wait, what sort of songs?
Well, I'm going to be singing show tunes because that's what I love to sing, so.
Can I sing Disney songs?
Absolutely. If it's available, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
have you RSVP'd yet?
No, but I'm going to be. Right.
Good. Then, yeah, so the karaoke will be later in the evening, but we'll start with, we'll have regular board games and things set up on tables, and we'll have some pizza and drinks, and you can order your own food as well, and alcoholic drinks. The evening event will be at 8 p.m. The picnic is in the afternoon, because essentially I will have to be able to take my kids back to where we're staying and sort out the babysitter and whatnot, and we need to go and set up the restaurant, so it's not straight after, so there'll be some time in between. Yeah, so the picnic is a family affair, so you can bring your kids and whatnot, and in the evenings it's 21 plus. So that's one of the main things that's happening this week. We also have relaunched the Games Masters Academy, and so we have our first workshop set up to show you the basics of Roll20. So right now there's an early bird price that only is going to go through till Wednesday. I believe the 24th is the last day to get tickets for £5. Beyond after that, it is for £10. And Flays will be taking you through the basics of running games through Roll20 and showing you how the GM side of it works. And you'll be able to ask questions and get answers for that. How long will the picnic go on for, and can people go without kids? People are welcome to come without children. Just bring food for yourself. We'll have games and things set up. And the picnic itself, I believe it's from noon. We'll probably go until about 3 or so. So then we'll have people can go get themselves sorted with family and whatnot. So hopefully the weather's good. Nice. Having more games would be fun. So that's that. The Games Masters Academy, the party's on that Saturday. We have I just released Homebrew Lab Season 2 Episode 1 on YouTube today. So you can go and give that a watch, give it a like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That monster is pretty wild as well. It is the stuff of nightmares, and I love drawing it. It was probably one of the weirdest things I've ever drawn.
Oh, by the way, Homebrew Labs. I'm going to be on Homebrew Labs soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I get to do the spell making one. Oh.
That's good. I never quite know what I'm going to end up drawing for those ones. What website could I find Cool Wayfarers merch at, Sarah? You can find it at Redbubble, and you can also find it at Cotton Cart. I need to put the Cotton Cart website up on the website, on our website, wayfarersleague.com. There is a tab for our store. So there's links there, and I will put the Cotton Cart link on there probably tomorrow. I should make a note to do that so I don't forget, because I have a bad habit of forgetting things. Cotton Cart on website.
Chav, you said no RPGs at the event, right? Question mark?
Yeah, we aren't playing any RPGs at the event because.
Well, I don't know. Would you consider Werewolf an RPG?
I mean, you can play Werewolf in like what, 20 minutes?
I know. Don't worry. It's not. I'm just being.
We will probably we won't play any tabletop RPGs because they take hours, and what we'll have set up in more simple quick games. So I'll bring my zombie dice. I'll bring this is for the evening event. I'll bring zombie dice. We'll have probably Jenga and things like that. I'll probably bring Uno.
I can bring Rock Paper Wizard.
I don't know Rock Paper Wizard.
Oh, it's Majesty. It's so good.
I'll bring Pass the Pigs. Those kind of things.
Pass the Pigs. Okay, I don't know what that is. That sounds like a farming job, not a game, but okay.
It's where the pigs are dice essentially, and depending on how they fall, you get points. It's similar. It's a similar game mechanic to zombie dice, where you're trying to get as many during your turn. You're trying to get as many points as possible, and then you say, "Okay, I'm done." Otherwise, there's a certain roll you can get, and then you lose all your points for that round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fee said, I love that game, but I don't know which game she said that she loves.
Pass the Pigs, of course.
So choose your answer carefully, Fee.
Homebrew Labs is a lot of fun. You can, if only there were a neat book. Are you trying to remind me of all the announcements, Brad?
Nice save.
You can buy the first zine of Homebrew Labs for the first season on our website right now. You can download it as we speak off of the store, as well as the drinking game that I developed that I need to actually go and adjust some of the gameplay of that. But it's only £1, so the drinking game Homebrew Labs zine is £5. I could have brought the D&D Haunted House on the Hill. That sounds amazing. I love that game.
I've never played. I've had multiple people try and get me to play House on that game.
Yeah.
But I've still never played it.
Well, we're actually going to be streaming it this Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Blaze and a few others are going to be playing it using the Tabletop Simulator. It's a good one. Mm-hmm. I like it because it's a lot of replay value. Let's see. All the games. Yes, the big board is a big board game. Well, it's a tile game, so depending on how many tiles you draw, then this is how big it gets. Yeah, Fee's playing in House on Haunted Hill this Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday evening. So alternating with Homebrew Lab, we're starting to do a tabletop stream. So people play various tabletop simulator games every other Tuesday. Hey, I was in that game with you, Fee. That was fun. Even though I died in the very, 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 very beginning of it. It's still very entertaining.
You know what you need to do? You need to play Code Names on that stream. You ever play Code Names?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's so good. And it's in Tabletop Simulator as well. You can get it on the workshop.
Code Names?
Code Names, yeah. It's a great game.
Okay. sure it'll be good to have variety. I will not be able to play in the alternating tabletop night because that's my regular D&D night. One of them. Too many. Let's see. Quickly looks for fillets online. We did win that game in the end, which was very surprising. I think that is where I'm going to call it for today. That was really fun. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Sam for joining in.
That was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, for all the future announcements, join us at wayfarersleague.com. Join our Discord server. We announce everything in the announcements channel there. You can come and find current games that are open. If you are a DM and want to run something, please get in touch and we can sort that out. We'd love to have you run games with us and come and play games. All our games are new player friendly as well. And I'm going to say goodnight now.
Yeah, good night. And CSV, I will enjoy it. I will absolutely relish it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.